needs to get above here. Because right now we're in no man's land. I wouldn't do anything dollar based at all. And this is the reason why I'm telling you this. You should not be in euro dollar. You should not be in pound dollar. You should not be in Aussie dollar. You should not be in anything with a dollar in its name. Nothing. Do nothing like that. So if you're a Forex trader, you need to be looking at the exotics. Anything that's coupled with another currency that is not dollar based. So that's your exotics. And the way you pick the currency pair that you're going to trade is you're going to look at a high yielding interest rate, a country that has a higher interest rate that is paired with a currency that has a low interest rate. And by doing that, you can be long the higher interest rate or short the smaller interest rate if it's the first of the currency name. For instance, like yen, yen, and I'm not equipped here to be able to pull it up on. I promise. After I'm done the live stream, I'll go on YouTube, not like I'll go on Twitter and I'll tweet a screenshot of where you can see the actual interest rates for the purposes of using it for differentials. So that way, because we're expecting dollar to remain consolidated until something more accelerated in the war front occurs, because that will actually cause the dollar to start moving around. That's what I think's happening right now. They're holding it. They're trying to see what gives next. Where's the next shoe going to drop, right? So while they're doing that, dollar's not really going lower, and it's not really going higher. So it's allowing other currencies to move around, which allows for pursuit of interest, seeking yield. That's the mechanism that's always keeping things moving, seeking yield. But the dollar doesn't need to be moving to do that. So if you're a Forex trader, you want to be now taking your attention away from dollar until it leaves its consolidation on the daily chart in the framework of this outlined right here on the 4 hour. That's what I'm using for my personal reference. So it needs to do one of these two things for me to be interested in the dollar index again. Otherwise, it's the highest interest rate versus the lowest interest rate and couple that with Forex pairs. And then go long the higher interest rate currency, go short the smaller, shorter interest rate versus a stronger one. And I teach that in the core content. So it's on YouTube, by the way. All right, and now we can take a look at euro dollar. Now that I told you, don't touch it. Okay, and look what's going on with euro. It's in a range bound consolidation, right? Why? Because dollar is being held in consolidation. So there's not going to be a lot of discrepancy between the fluctuations between the two, because this one's heavily weighted with dollar. The dollar index has a lot of euro in it, so it's basically balanced, and it's going to be a real hard sell to get excited about trading long or short in euro because of the underlying pinnings of what I just outlined here. So that's a macro perspective, taking yourself way outside of a 1 minute chart and 15-second chart, because y'all think that's all I do. I have a macro understanding of the markets as well, but you only need to refer to them once in a while. And it takes a lot for them to change. So that's why I talk about quarterly analysis. So once I subscribe to a view for the next 2 to 4 months, I usually, unless something really pivotal occurs, I'm staying with that mindset, and I'm not trying to change my mind about it. So I'll just toss it out there for you. So there's no necessity to go down in the lower time, because I already told you don't touch the euro. And we'll take a quick look at the pound. Same thing. Okay, in a consolidation. Now, if you start looking at currencies like, let's take a look at, let's look at pound yen, the beast. Okay, this market, you would want to look at like this consequent encroachment there, and we have relative equal highs. So you want to frame that going forward into the non-farm payroll. Which one are they going to reach for? The consequent encroachment of this wick, or the buy side imbalance? I'm sorry, the buy side liquidity up here. On a 4 hour, right there. Look at that. That's a big hole right there. So above all this consolidation, We're inside this fair value gap there. So it could do something like this. It could trade up here and then run right down here and take out the sell side here and clean up all this smoothness. I'm not trading it. It's something for you to study. Okay. Let's go back up to the daily. Pick another currency. Okay, daily chart. Consolidation. Would you trade this at all? I wouldn't. There's nothing in here that would get me excited. Why? Look exactly where we're at right now. Do you see how this high, that candle, and that low, that candle, that is your, essentially that's your trading range. It's in consolidation on a daily chart. And where are we at right now? Right in the middle of it. We've already traded to this inefficiency here multiple times. There isn't any inefficiency looking back over here. You have just this consequent encroachment of this wick, which has already been traded to there. So where's the high probability draw on liquidity? On this one? Nowhere. You don't do anything with this one. Let's get a real exotic one. All right, so we have midpoint right in here. So the sell side right in here, I think we could reach for it there. So watch that. This is where I would use a draw on liquidity for this currency. I would never trade this. But for the folks that are in Forex, I know you guys have been really wanting to see me do a lot more discussions on Forex. Sell side resting below here. All this trend line support, it's a phantom. We've already started to move. I apologize, but I don't really watch the Forex markets all that well now. But the draw would be right in here. That would upset everyone that would be using this fake phantom diagonal support, which is nonsense. Doesn't work. Let's look at and JP. Note that right there. No fair value gap with the order block. We've already cleared buy side here, so that's a nice little area to see if it wants to draw down into that on the daily chart. And basically, I don't have the interest rates in front of me, but you would be better suited to look at the higher interest rate countries and their respective currencies and find the pairs that have those pairs where the first currency, like this one here, like the Swiss franc, if that had the higher interest rate versus the Japanese yen, then you could be long on Swiss franc because of the higher interest rate differential between Swiss franc versus Japanese yen, while dollar is in consolidation. If we were looking at a currency pair that had, say, for instance, the Swiss franc was a lower interest rate than the Japanese yen, which I don't think that's the case here, but I don't know for certain. I haven't been watching them for at least a year. I haven't looked at them. But if the interest rate differential for Swiss franc is lower than the Japanese yen, that would be a sell or a shorting opportunity while the dollar index is in consolidation. So the moves will occur in currencies that don't have the dollar in the name. When the dollar is moving, you do not want to be trading these crosses because the extrapolated moves are going to be in the dollar-based currencies relative to the interest rate differential. All right. Do me a favor on Twitter if you guys can tell me if you can hear me still, because I'm not sure what just happened, but everything got froze up on my end. Skinny a 5x5 on Twitter if you can still hear me. Again, I don't know if you can hear me still. Thank you, Monkey. Thank you, folks. Appreciate it. I'm not sure what just happened. It just kicked me off for a second. All right, so here we have oil. Now, I've already tweeted if the Iran issue ramps up, if we get into a hot exchange between Iran, oil will go up a lot. As long as that doesn't happen, and it just remains a skirmish between Israel and the Gaza, that's not going to cause oil to go up. If Iran starts getting more involved, or if we start doing things more openly in Iran, that's going to cause oil to go up a lot. So, barring all that, we have this inefficiency down here. We could see it revisit that one more time. I don't want to sell short. If I was if I was an oil trader, I wouldn't want to sell short in this environment. Like, it's just too volatile. At a drop of a hat, anything can happen. It's like a powder keg right now. I'm more interested to see, not because I want to see anything happen because of war, but I want to see if we do start engaging directly with Iran or vice versa, or if Iran does something more direct towards Israel and it's obvious, then you know what's going to happen. The U.S. is going to step into that, which is why there's all that military equipment over there. Like, one way, shape, or form, it's going to happen. They're going to see to it. So you just got to take a look at what we're not talking about anymore. And I'm not going to go through the laundry list of what that is, but there's a lot of things that everyone's been talking about for the last 2 years, 3 years. No one's paying attention to that stuff right now because all of this is the events that people are concerned themselves with. So, and it's meaningful because it's going to have an impact on all of our lives. But from the market perspective, I'm more interested in seeing, do we get that escalation in the vein of Iran being involved more directly, or becoming more active as a theater between it and Israel, because that's when we will join in. And we've have so much military over there now. The idea of anything reaching out and touching us, it's the stage is set now. All we're doing is sitting still, waiting for somebody to eventually hit us. And now we're in there, right? Where if we weren't over there at all, it's none of our business. So they're creating that stage for it to happen. And if it does happen, we'll start seeing oil go up. If we do see oil go up, I'm going to go up to a weekly chart for this. If we see oil rise on the basis of those types of things, this high back here, you're going to smoke through that. It'll rip right through that. Now, why would they want to do this? Why would tension over there be poked and prodded and caused to build up? All through this right here, okay, I had a $13 target on crude oil, and in one day we dropped down negative $40 a barrel. The oil pumps and the companies that were drawing the oil out of the ground were literally paying people to come get their oil because they just can't turn those drills and pumps off like a light switch. It doesn't work like that. So they were actually paying people to get their oil from them versus trying to sell it. And that's what caused all of this. Because the demand globally, because everybody was shut in through the arm ticket stuff. That event caused a lack of demand for it. They've lost a lot of money here. A lot of potential sales. So while they made money here, yeah, this whole thing over there in the Middle East is a perfect stage to make up for all this lost money and new profits. So I'm of the opinion. Okay, here's my opinion, and I'm going to close it because I'm hungry. I'm of the opinion that this whole push for electric vehicles is a bunch of bullshit because you have to have fossil burning plants to make electric cars. Like nobody's doing the math on that. Like you have to have fossil burning manufacturing plants to make electric cars. So I think this whole idea of trying to promote electric cars and you can't have combustion engines sold in your country and pollution. So this carbon footprint that everyone's talking about how we have to reduce it and we can't eat meat because cows fart. That's to me it doesn't make enough sense to warrant this level of change. I think it's a distraction. All these things are distractions for our real interest in being in the Middle East, which is to take ownership, even if it's by force, the oil that's there. And we have lots of oil in our country. We have lots of oil in Alaska. That's why Russia wants it back. But we're protecting and saving that for us. But we want to go there and get our hands on everybody else's oil, which is really what was going on when I was a teenager and we were worried about being drafted back then. You know, we have a real problem here. And I think that this is a distraction from them making it seem like, we couldn't possibly be over there to try to get anybody's oil because we're trying to go into electric vehicles. We're trying to do the green ticket deal where everything is, go green, go green, go green. And nobody sees it coming like that if we're doing it like this. No one can say, oh, we're over there for oil because we've been promoting electric vehicles. We've been promoting the green deal, windmills and clean energy. And you can't have hamburgers and steaks because cows fart too much. In one volcanic eruption, which happens a couple times a year all around the world, one volcanic eruption puts out more CO2 than any of us can produce in decades. So the science isn't behind all this stuff. It's really asinine to see the level of ignorance that people have because they're not taught anything anymore. They're not really taught history. They're not taught real science, and they've spent more time in the last 30 years dividing us. And I think that the oil market is in store for a lot of manipulation. But if it goes hot in Iran, that's going to cause oil prices to go through the roof, and we could see levels that are unfathomable. I mean, I hear people talking about, oh, it could go $300 a barrel. I'm not going there, but I do think that we can go above 150 because that's where that's where we saw it last, right? So levels are always meant to be broken, and everything's getting expensive right now. Everything is. Look at your grocery bill, right? Why wouldn't oil be? Just because they're saying we got to stop making combustion engines. You're still going to have airplanes. These people that don't want you having cars, they're still going to have their private jets. They're still going to have their cars that run on combustion engines. They're still going to have their yachts that put out so much pollution, it's ridiculous. But we're to believe that everything's going to go green. You can't drive a tractor trailer that's electric. You need diesel engines to pull this stuff. And everything is supposed to be supported by our already weakened and aging electric grid. And they tell people, don't turn on your air conditioners when it's really hot. Don't turn all your air conditioners on because it might cause a blackout. But we're all supposed to have an electric vehicle. How the fuck are we going to charge them all up? If we can't run our air conditioner, how the hell are we going to charge our Teslas overnight all at the same time? Because we got to go to work tomorrow, right? You got to work. You got to go to the grocery store. You got to take your kids to somewhere, something. You got to move around, right? So the math ain't there. The math ain't mathing. And all these things are, to me, I think they're distractions because this whole thing's about us getting over there taking oil. And when we finally toss it in and say, yeah, it really doesn't work. It doesn't really have a benefit that we thought it was. We've done the math now, and we got to stick with fossil fuels. But by then, we got our drills in over there again. So It's just it's my opinion, and I'm not trying to debate anybody because I'm sure there's people out there that know more about it than I do. It's just something that jumped in my head over the weekend. I'm thinking, like, none of this shit really makes any sense, and why would they keep pushing it, knowing it doesn't have any scientific weight behind it? But we're over there now, getting ready to start getting in the Middle East again. So I don't know. It's something to think about. I'm not interested in anybody else's opinion. So if you're going to tweet to me or make video responses to this in regards to that, I'm not going to spend time looking at that stuff because, like I said, I'm not trying to be an authority on it. It's just something that just jumped in my head over the weekend. It's going to be a catalyst for caution trading the oil market. But if things do get hot for Iran and they get more involved as a direct theater with Israel or with us, like for instance, we have a lot of battleships and artillery over there. If they allow, okay, and I think it's not outside the realm of possibility, um, the guy falls asleep. He doesn't have the reaction time to really shoot down that thing that ends up hitting one of those aircraft carriers. Man, it's on then. Like it's on. Like it's on like Donkey Kong. And then that's it. We have the invitation to the party and the dance, just like Pearl Harbor. So it's unfortunate. But I don't know why else would we be over there in inviting that type of thing while still, take a step back. Who really benefits from this? What are they hiding? What are they masking so you don't really see what they're doing? And they keep pushing this green stuff all the time. Electric cars, electric this, electric that. And we have a grid in our country that is, we only have 3 grids and they're very weak. And it doesn't take much for them to, have rolling blackouts and such. So if everything goes to electric and we've not done anything to increase the efficacy of our grid in the United States, there's no way that we can have everybody on a, or even 50% more of our population to be on an electric vehicle, charging them all the time. Because as soon as summer comes and the demand for electric goes up, because everybody has to be cooled, it's not healthy for elderly people to be in high heat and such. And I don't do very well in heat. So, it's just something to think about. And again, I'm not trying to sell the idea that you should have that same opinion, because I'm probably wrong. But at any rate, this right here, they're going to try to get all that back with interest because, I'm sure they wanted to have that profit and they had to give it away. And greed is what makes them move, right? So, anyway, I had fun today sharing things with you. I had fun talking about the markets and outlining what I did this morning. And the lecture on market maker models will be posted tomorrow evening, which is Halloween 2023 at 9 p.m. Eastern Time in the United States. So I'll send the link on Twitter when it posts, so that way you guys can go take a look at it at your convenience. And until I talk to you again on Twitter, there won't be another video like this. There won't be any more like teachings after tomorrow's video. So all the videos that you have on this library, they will remain. I'm not taking any of it down, and I'm not taking my Twitter down after November 11th. But this is the ending, the closing chapters of Michael as Inner Circle Trader. I just want to go back to my boring life of being who I am as Michael. And ICT will only exist in the capacity that you see on this YouTube channel and the tweets that were put out there. Nothing's been deleted. Nothing will be deleted. And I wish you all very, very, very much success using the information. And I'm looking forward to seeing how the next person climbs up in our community, in our industry, and how everyone uses the information that they make available. I never wanted to be a celebrity. I'm writing books that will be released once YouTube confirms and sends me the little plaque for 1 million. That means that they verified that they're not purchased subscribers. It's a legitimate 1 million subscriber base with real accounts. and I had to wait for that for the 100,000. We're real close. We got up there real quick with 903,000 followers already on this YouTube channel, which I am absolutely intimidated by that number. I've had a lot of requests for people to meet with me, to do teaching circuits, to go on tour, interviews, like formal interviews. I'm not interested in any of that stuff. I've done what I said I wanted to do. I've shared what I wanted to share. I want to go and just trade next year and try to, do something that as a young man I wanted to do anyway. But I think it's time for me to do it. And I want to focus on that and go back into just observing everyone else. It's not about me. And I don't want it to be about me. I want to be able to watch all of you as my students, be able to climb up and make something of yourselves with all this stuff and see what you do with it. And I'm really interested to see who the next person is, because I can milk this and keep pushing it and pushing it and pushing it, make it even bigger. But I'm not. That's never been my real interest, and I think that'll communicate also that it's not. It's never been about me. I don't want to. I don't want to be looked at like I am. I've had fun on Twitter, but I don't want to be that hero. I don't want to be that celebrity status person. I enjoy being boring me, and I want to be back to that. So if I've been an impact in your life that's helped you grow as a trader and found profitability, uh, that's such a blessing. That's such a blessing to be used in that capacity. And I've done as best as I could with the experience and the know-how to be able to do what it is I know how to do and what my students have learned. I don't know another way I could have done it any better than I did. And I'm not saying it was perfect. I'm not saying because I don't think I am a good teacher in that regard. But I did my best. And my best for some of you might not have been enough. My instructions would be is spend some more time with it. It'll probably be beneficial for you not to have any more content coming from me. Because if I don't have any more content coming out, that means you have all the time in the world to focus on what you have in your hands already. And that's what I did. I stopped buying books and stopped buying courses as a young man. That's when I really understood, because I wasn't chasing a new shiny object. And that's a real thing, not just in trading, it's in everything. So I've enjoyed being a mentor. I've enjoyed being, part of this very large and eccentric community that we have as traders. But I don't want to be more than I already am. And I want you to hear me and understand this. I am writing those books. I am putting them out there. I am not begging you to buy them. I don't need you to buy them for me to pay my bills and live. I'm not producing any more YouTube videos. So there's no necessity for me to chase ad revenue. I don't need that either. What I'm doing that for is because I want people to see that these are my creations. These are things that I codified, and I want them taught correctly with the rules, the parameters around them, so that way you can see it, understand it from the author's perspective, not a personal interpretation, which is incomplete and it's not accurate. So I don't know what else to say other than it's been a wonderful experience. I've had so much fun being Inner Circle Trader. I've been so blessed to have so many people come into my life and share their experiences with me, what they were able to accomplish, what they're hopeful for, what they were doing with it when they made it. That to me is a huge testimony to not just simply looking at me as a conduit to learn how to make money, but once you start making the money, what are you doing with it? How are you impacting other people's lives? And some of you have taken it and just made mentorships. And I'm not proud of those things. And I'm not trying to kick sand in anybody's face as I'm walking out the door, but I never did this to create copycats of me. That was never my inspiration to do it. But I have a lot of students that have done things that are remarkable, where they've blessed other people. They've helped people when they didn't need it to be significant in the sight of other people. They've shared it privately with me. They don't go out there in public and grandstand and say, this is what I've done. I've gave this to charity. I did this for that person. When you do that, you receive your reward. You've done that for the sake of getting clout or recognition for it. And if you're going to do those types of things, do it anonymously. That's the better way of doing it. And I hope that all this newfound success that many of you have now, you don't let it go to your head like it did me when I was younger. You invite all the wrong people in your life, and you'll have to live your life like I did. Divided. Certain people know certain things, other people don't know other things. And it sucks. It sucks to not live the way you want to live because you invited people that are just trying to take from you. And a lot of you young men, young ladies too, if you take yourself onto social media and you broadcast it, you're affluent now and you're making lots of money, there's always out there someone that's going to try to latch onto you for opportunity's sake, to try to take something from you that's undeserved. You got to be real careful. And it's not just make a lot of money. It's not just online clout. A lot of you wouldn't like to have the level of recognition where people come to your house knocking on your door just to meet you and leaving letters on your door and packages. You don't know what's inside these things. Like I don't want to open up a lot of the stuff I get sent to me, so please don't send me anything. It's dangerous. I don't feel safe doing it. And I feel uncomfortable saying those things because I know some of you are well-intentioned individuals. You just want to, because I've had some wonderful letters and gifts and cards and things sent to me. But I can't trust any of that going forward because the things are getting stupid like crazy. And I have a family that I have to worry about. And some of you, even in your well-intended decisions that you thought it was harmless to come visit me, I'm not comfortable with that. And you found out that I'm not real warmed up to the idea of that. And I told you that's why you don't want to meet your heroes, and you certainly don't want to meet me. When I talk to you in this capacity, I'm talking to you because I'm talking to my children. And you're hearing me talk to you sincerely because I sincerely mean what I'm saying to my kids. So that developed a rapport between us. And over time, as I learned more about some of you individually, and some of my personal students would make themselves more known to me, sometimes I would talk to them and I'll tell them, I'm going to be talking to you today when I'm talking about that. And you know who you are. But right now, I'm talking to you as my student base. I want my personal life to be exactly the way it was. I don't want people contacting me to do interviews, to do teaching circuits. Come over here. We want to do a keynote speaker. Do this. Teach us. Come to work for us. Teach our prop firm company. I'm not doing that stuff. I'm not doing any of that stuff. I'm not interested in it. I don't need any of that money. I don't need any of the notoriety. And I don't know how else to communicate it. Like, if I was here for that, I'd be staying around. I'm at the highest point that I've ever been. I don't want to be any more than this. I'm uncomfortable where I'm at right now. I'm introverted, and I only sound like an extrovert when I have the comfort of being in a bubble and I can talk openly. But I would never talk openly in front of anyone, like a crowd of people. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do it. It's intimidating to me. I'm uncomfortable in that situation, and I'm usually the most quiet person in the public setting. It took a lot for me to want to talk to all of you. It took a lot. But once I warmed up to the idea, you can see I don't shut up. Look at this goodbye. It's taken a long time, isn't it? So I want you to understand that I have done everything that I could do to make it reachable, something you could get if you put the effort in. I can honestly say that I could not personally, I cannot do it any better than I did. And if I try, it's just going to frustrate me because I already know that I've done as much as I humanly, personally can do. If you have not learned how to do it, just spend a little bit more time. How much time? Whatever you're willing to put into it. And if it doesn't get you to where you want to be at, then just submit to the idea that, I failed as a teacher and go along the rest of your life doing something else. And I wish it continued success, whatever it is. I don't want you not to be successful. I want you to be successful. And even if it's something somebody else is doing, it's nothing like what I've taught. I want all of you to do well. I'm interested in seeing all of you. I want to see the next person rise up and how do they conduct themselves. What do they do with it? Because there's always going to be somebody else. There's always going to be somebody else that comes up and gets a lot of the attention and stuff. And I want to give it away. I don't want to have this seat. I don't want this. It's very, very intimidating to know that thousands of people hang on any word that I post on a tweet or any word that I speak inside of a live stream. It's very intimidating, especially knowing that I've had people that had worked very hard to do these things and try to learn how to overcome their own problems, and they are not successful overcoming their personal problems. And a human being like I am, I wrestle with things. Put in a situation where you're potentially able to make a lot of money, but you haven't really fixed yourself yet. That's a recipe for disaster. And in today's climate, where everybody gets to be able to fault somebody else except for themselves, maybe if it was a different time, maybe if it was in the 90s still, I probably would stay with it longer. But so many people have an entitlement mindset right now. And it's just everything's a victimhood mentality. And you owe me, you should have did more than this and you should have did more than that. I don't do well with those viewpoints. Nobody would really. So I've made my core content available. It's on the YouTube channel. You want a study note or a study guide, go through month 1 through 12. There's your study guide. Go at your own pace. Don't try to do too much at one time. Expect it's going to take you a lot of time to understand it all. Listen to the live streams. Like today, I covered a lot of stuff today that was intended to be just in the books. But to prove to you, I'm not trying to sell books to make money, because I already know the first week it's out there, it's going to be all over Telegram. So again, don't buy my fucking book. Just go on the Telegram channels and you'll see it. It's there. I don't give a flying fuck how much money those books make. I don't care. I'm not doing it for the purposes of making the money. I'm doing it so that way it has an ISBN number associated with me. I'm the author, and you'll see I was the one that put this stuff out there in its proper context, the right way. And that's all I wanted, because every book will close with me saying what I'm about to say right now. I was not deserving to have this information. I didn't earn it. I did not deserve it. I prayed a lot for it. Not for this specifically, because I didn't know this existed. But I wanted to learn how to be able to see this stuff before it happened. And I am of the opinion that many of you are uncomfortable when I talk about God. Some of you may be atheists. Some of you may believe in a different God. But I believe I had very extraordinary experiences where I would have never known this otherwise. Look at it. Look at it. Really take a step back and look at it. When you hear these people say that this is rebranded retail stuff, there's nothing like this anywhere else. And there's no one else out there doing what I'm doing. Proving it with executions, proving it, annotating it live as it's happening. I went on live streams with you. I told you every individual candle, what it should do, what it shouldn't do. I can do this in a courtroom. I can do it right in front of the CFTC. I can do it every day of the week. I am not intimidated by that. I'm not afraid of that. And it doesn't matter how many times you say it's not real. It doesn't change the fact that it is. And believe me, while I was learning how to do this, I was astonished. It was scary. I'm getting butterflies in my stomach now all over again, thinking about, am I safe knowing this? And it took a long time for me to build the courage up when I was on baby pips, because they have no idea how many times I sat and thought, do I really want to start talking about this up here publicly? Do I really want to do this? Do I really want to do it? So I slowly just put one toe in the water at a time and see what's the reaction going to be. What's the reaction going to be if I do a little bit more? What's the reaction going to be if I do a little bit more? And where I'm at right now, I don't want to go any further. I don't want you wondering how much more there is, because it doesn't make a difference how much more it is, because I'm not going to teach it. You have more than enough, more than anyone would ever need. And any more was just going to just compound the level of confusion, decision on where you're going to settle in on your own. This is the thing you're going to trade with. This is the thing you're going to study price action and work around building your own model. And that's what I give you. I give you a way of reading price action. I didn't promise you here's a one trick pony and it's going to make it easy for you to make money for the rest of your life. That didn't happen. I never promised that. I promised and guaranteed that I would teach you how I read price action. And if you learn this, you will read price action better than anybody else on this planet. Fill in the blank. And I see some of my students and what they're able to do in markets that I don't even trade. And I am so proud. I'm so proud. That's not arrogance. I'm very proud that you stuck with it. And for the folks that haven't got there yet, trust me, every one of those individuals, every single one of them had moments where they wanted to give up. I did too. Think about it. I was hearing voices telling me, look here, and I would see it. And then I would doubt it immediately. And then I watched it happen. Sounds crazy, right? Sounds nuts, right? But what happens when that voice is right all the time? You take notice, don't you? And then it became, wow, this is what I'm supposed to be paying attention to. Let me look at this. Let me look at that. Let me look at this. And you feel like someone's in the room with you. Not scary, not intimidating, but comforting. Like you're not alone. And when I wanted to throw in the towel and quit and never want to do anything with this stuff ever again, a level of comfort that I'd never known before, that's what was there. You might want to say, could have been an angel, could have been the Lord himself, could have been, I'm sure some of you probably think it's lunacy, madness. And that's fine. I've been trolled with it already. I've already shared testimonies, and it's made its way on YouTube, and people are making ad revenue off of it. I'm not going to do anything about it, because if I did, it means I'm ashamed of it, and I'm not. I'm not deserving of those experiences. I'm a sinner. I sin every day. You hear how I talk when I lose control? Every one of you are like that. Even the ones that are pious and pretend that you're better than me and you want to send me emails or text messages. You shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that. Clean your own closet. I'm human. There's a lot of things I wish I could go back and teach sooner than I did.
I wish there was some subjects I wish I could talk openly about. I can't. And you're just going to have to accept the fact that that's just good enough, because I'm not going to teach any more than I am. I'm not going to divulge anything more than that. But the idea of it not working, that's been canceled. The idea of it not being transferable, that's been canceled. Anything being remotely close to it, that's just laughable. So in a lot of ways, it sounds like when I say these are my concepts, they're my concepts because I was given them to codify them, not from any one person, not anyone that we know in our day-to-day lives or in this industry. No one taught them to me. But when I say and I claim authorship of it, they're mine because I was the instrument sharing them with all of you. I am aware that they were gifted to me. I can't have this person stand next to me and say, here's this person. And I know I literally was looking at things over the weekend where people were making fun of the fact that I talk about God and I give him all the praise and the glory because it's his. He's in control of everything. Everything. Kingdoms are set up by him and kingdoms are put down by him. Kings are set up and kings are put down by him. Nothing that is it. It's not here because he doesn't want it to be. And if it's here, it's because he wants it to be. And I believe, because my heart was tore up, it wasn't until I asked him to show me with the express intent that I would spend my life helping other people do it. Think about it. We could talk about people that do interventions with people with drugs and alcohol, sexual abuse, stepping in as a counselor, that type of thing. And I think that, like Paul said, we have these problems in this world so that way we can have a testimony. That we had faith throughout that endeavor, that problem. We didn't lose sight of who we have faith in and carried us through it. So everyone's going to have a problem, right? I was never an alcohol drinker. I never did drugs. And it takes me to be deathly ill to even take an Advil. These markets are like a drug. And people get addicted to them. I did. I was throwing money at them when I was 20 when I didn't have it. I didn't know what I was doing. I was being reckless. That's no different from someone going out there with a needle and sticking heroin in their arm, like my own father did. I can look back when I was younger and complain about how I had all these adversities as a child. Parents didn't want anything to do with me. I was bounced around from different family members to technically raise me. I didn't have any advantages. I wasn't born with a silver spoon. No one gave me college tuitions for free. Everything I got, I had to work for it. And I had to defer a lot of wants. But I had problems adjusting as a young man. And I wrestle with a lot of things, and I've made this known publicly. And I know that these markets bring that out in me more than anything else. And I'm 51 years old now. And I don't want the last chapter of my life wrapped around what these markets make me feel like and what the opinions of others about me make me feel like. I'm always going to have people that don't like me. That's fine. That's not my issue. I've toyed with them online. The ones that hurt are the ones that they tell me they tried really, really hard and they couldn't make it work. And I can't do anything more than I've already done. That hurts because I feel like I'm insignificant when my whole life has been trying not to be insignificant. I wanted to be significant because I wasn't raised in a family setting where I felt significant. So I was motivated all the time. I was always go, 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 go. Don't stop. Don't sit still. Don't rest. Look at my work ethic. Look at it. There's nobody out there performing more than I am. And that came on the heels of my own grandmother calling me lazy when she had no idea what I had already done in the first part of that day. I'd done more than an adult with 2 jobs when I came up to do something what I thought was spend the weekend. She wanted me to come and do yard work and move gravel. 1,500 pounds of gravel by myself at 11 years old. And then when I couldn't do it, to tell me I was lazy, that put a fire into my ass. Nobody's going to tell me I'm lazy ever again. And that's when everything got supercharged, where I was interested. I stayed after school in my math class teacher. And as long as he stayed there, I stayed there and I was teaching myself how to do coding. Any questions I didn't have answers to, he was quick to answer it. I learned how to code before I went to college because it was a pursuit. I felt like I needed to do that. And all the languages that I learned were obsolete by the time I got out. COBOL and CICS, mainframe operations. What the hell's a mainframe, right? You tell me you don't know what the hell that is. C++ is the only language that I learned towards the end that was still in today. But all those, even though that I didn't get a chance to use all that stuff in the working world, they were all parts that I believe the Lord used to put me together who I am. Because if I would have never learned how computer programs are written, what the logic is, syntax, all those things, how they come together for the function of making something deliver an output, I would have never understood the perspective of an algorithm existing anyway. Look how hard it is for some people to even understand what that means when we talk about an algorithm. It's hard to grasp. But for someone that's been in the information systems and tech, it's easy. Some of my better students are the ones that have come from that field. Computer science, information systems. I'm talking their language. They know exactly what I'm talking about. There was an immediate rapport right there. But for someone that doesn't have a technical background, it was very difficult to try to bridge that gap and bring it into a discussion where it was understandable and still hold your attention. Because it's dry. It's very hard to communicate the level and depth of what these markets are doing on a day-by-day basis. And the more I learned, the more I discovered I didn't know anything. And that fascinated me. It scared the hell out of me. But it also, it just promoted me to levels of tenacity that I never even had before. And I kept digging and digging and digging. More observations, more look here, more look there. And I would pray. I'd say, I'm not seeing this. Why is this not doing what I wanted to do? What am I not understanding? Look here. For years, that's what was going on. Nobody sitting next to me, no one that I paid taught me any of this. No book has this information in it. And when you come out and you publicly display it, people that you don't know about, they recognize something. This looks like something, and they're interested in meeting with you. You don't want to meet these people. You don't want to be a part of anything they do. I believe that you're going to see a wonderful collection of students of mine that are going to come up. And they're going to do a far better job after I've taught everything in those books. They're going to do a far better job of teaching than I have. I'm interested in seeing it. My only request is that if you're doing stuff like that, give me the opportunity to give all the glory to God because it came from Him. That's the only reason why I want you to point back to me. Because I would not be able to do this if it wasn't for Him. Like I watched that before I started this live stream this morning. And I think about how it was when I was younger and I couldn't do any of that. I didn't look at these charts with the open, high, low, and close bar and know what I was looking at. It's like hieroglyphics. I didn't know what I was doing. And I don't have that now. Confidence, it's not confidence. It's not arrogance. It's knowing. There's no words to describe it. Like there's, I know what it feels like for you when you don't have the ability to do it or see it. I had that. I had to work through it. Nobody was encouraging me outside of what I'm explaining here, which to some of you doesn't make any sense. But the more time I spend talking about it and trying to explain it, the more inadequate I am in trying to reach, because the words don't come close enough. And I don't want to give a stage to people to make fun of him. I love doing what I'm doing. I love sharing. I don't like being looked up to like that, though. So it's going to be a real adjustment. after November because I've had so much fun. And I know there's all these side bets going on that I'm not going to leave social media. I'm not going to stay away, but I am. My wife needs to spend more time with me. And if she says that it's this or we're divorcing, understand that I'm not going to be here. I don't know what it's like to be not ICT anymore. Like I don't know what that's like. Like it's consumed every part of me. I wake up ICT, I go to bed ICT. And that's not to sound like I don't have things I can be doing with my wife. I obviously have all kinds of things I could be doing and places to visit and things to do. But when your entire whole existence is about the markets, and I thought about this, like everything, not dad. It's hard.